As a female leader, are you leaning in or are you holding back? So many times we might show up and be the only seat in the room, and we have to make sure that we are demanding the spotlight and doing it still in a way that has impact, purpose, and intention. That is exactly what we're talking about today as we dive deep into the role of women and leadership. I'm Clara Capano, and this is Women Winning Their Way. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Women Winning Their Way. And this one is very fun for me because I get to interview one of my friends, and she's also a reality TV star. And Jennifer, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Thank you. So good to be here, Clara. I am super great. Thank you.
Yeah. You and I met several years ago when I was doing some trainings, and I know we have some upcoming trainings. And I've always been a big fan of yours because, you're relatively young and you have started this empire. You're in the field of real estate and you have started a business, you're expanding the business and just doing some amazing things. And I think you can really speak a lot to the power of women in leadership. And before we get into that, I would love to just ask you, the title of the show is Women Winning Their Way. What does that mean to you when you hear that?
I love that. And I have always had this crazy love for women because I feel like they can do everything. They balance 10 plates at the same time. They take care of children, they take care of spouses, they run the household in a way. If you have animals, they're taking care of the animals. Like it just feels like they're always doing everything and then they got a career on top of it.
Yeah.
So, and yet women do it so I know we all get overwhelmed and stuff like that, but they do it so well that sometimes you're like, man, women are strong. They are amazing, the things that they can accomplish. So when you talk about winning their way, I know there's lots of like bumps along the road, but for sure, they're killing it.
Yeah.
That's what women do.
I love that. And we are strong. We're pretty amazing. We have to celebrate.
Absolutely.
So, I want to talk into this concept of leadership. So many of the people following the show are professional women, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, leadership. And, you run a real estate company, but regardless of industry, making the decision to start a company and run a company, it's a lot. What was the catalyst for you that really got you interested, and how'd you lean forward into saying, you know what, I think I'm going to start my own company?
For me, I was an agent for about 5 years, and it was through the downturn. It was 2008, 9, 10, and 11. And I had seen like colleagues as a new agent that I watched them get out of the industry because it was 2008. Luckily, I was single, so I didn't really have a lot of bills. I was renting a room from a roommate. I was 27 or 28, something like that. And I was like watching the people wanted to become as great as I could possibly become. So I was
Mhm.
watching some of these agents in my office and the top producers. I'd see them at all the sales meetings, win all the awards. And it was crazy because in 2010, some of the top producers in my office had gone to prison for loan fraud. And it was just one of those really grounding moments for me that was like, oh my goodness, is this what the general public thinks of real estate agents? And so for me, I started looking around like, I got to find something that has higher standards. I've got to find something that has the bar has got to be raised. And so I couldn't find it anywhere at the time. This 2011. And I had a builder, and the builder was like, Jen, why don't you start your own brokerage? And I had never thought of it. And I was like, always grew up entrepreneurial, owned lots of little businesses, nothing that ever succeeded. But I was like, yeah, I got that in me. I can do that. So I started my company, and that was 2011. It's, 14 years later, we're one of the largest brokerages in the state of Utah. I've been so blessed that, it's actually succeeded. And that was kind of my catalyst that got me saying, I've got to raise the bar. So my motto's been raise the bar from day one. And we just add more education, more resources. We have stronger compliance guidelines. Like we are very stringent on our agents, and we warn agents when they want to come over. We're like, hey, you're gonna you got to understand. We're gonna really follow up on you and make sure you're doing what's right, because the general public, I don't know if you've ever heard the top three most untrusted professions: realtors, lawyers, and car salesmen.
Right.
And I hated that we were in that category. I've gone and I've shown a home to a family member that cries because he can see his children playing in the background. And it's like, why are we the most untrusted?
Mhm.
And I looked at the standards that the Division of Real Estate had, and it just wasn't good enough. So for me, that's what really sparked my growth.
Wonderful. So there's two things that really stood out in what you said. Is the first one is create what isn't already there. And I think that that's a really powerful lesson, because that's what we need to do. If we are looking to grow and if it doesn't exist, why don't we create it? And I think, women, we are very creative. And I think sometimes, being that we have our nurturing backgrounds, we can see opportunities sometimes where other people don't see them. And being that we're always on the go, I mean, we have to be thinking on our feet, whether we're being a mom, a spouse, or whatever. Sometimes it's creating things on the fly. And I think that that's a strength that women can bring in. And then the second one is your mantra of raise the bar. I remember hearing that in a little bit of a different way from Tony Robbins years ago, which was raise your standards. And I think you're absolutely right. I think so many of us work at a level that is lower. And what we really need to do as female leaders is set the bar higher, raise the standards for ourselves, hold ourselves, because that is something that people want. And, they do want to work with trusted advisors. They want to be able to lead by somebody who is going to push them and expect more from them. And so I think that idea of playing small isn't going to serve us as women in the workforce at all.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I talk with a lot of leaders in different industries, and one of the biggest challenges is engagement, especially right now, even though the pandemic has been, oh my goodness, 5 years ago. This concept of disengagement is quite prevalent. And a big role of the leader is to bring in engagement. Now, you have a unique situation where you have staff, and then you also work with a lot of independent contractors. So, as a leader, how do you drive and create an environment of connection and engagement? And how important is that in the success of your business?
I mean, it is in the top three core values that you have to have is that people and culture, and so for us it is so crucial because, and yet, like you said, we've got a lot of independent contractors. We've got 500 of them. And so for us, it is extremely hard to get independent contractors to realize that we are a company that genuinely wants you to be connected, engaged, come to our events, come to our, we hold all sorts of events that we do throughout the entire year. So it's so important to me. I hired a people and culture director, and she puts on events, she puts on all sorts of things, but we also, every single day, we have whose anniversary it is, whose birthday it is, and we reach out to all of my entire team. So I have 17 people that are my leaders, brokers, and staff. We all reach out, every day. Happy birthday from, Presidio or whatever it is. And so it's kind of like that extra touch of you're not in this alone. And I think, unfortunately, in the real estate world, because they're independent contractors, there's a lot of silos. People just think this is my business. I don't need to worry about it. The division just forces me to hang my license at a brokerage. And for us, we want them to think completely opposite. We're side by side with you in the trenches. We're going to do it with you.
Mhm. I remember I was listening to an interview with Barbara Corcoran, and again, she's, in real estate, she's on Shark Tank, and she said something similar to what I'm hearing from you. Is she says, as the leader, I actually work for my people, and my job is to support them in being great. Because if I want the company to be great, my people have to be great. And the fact that you looked at a way of making them great by providing them not only with the tools, also with the education, and like you said, the sense of belonging, because outside of food, clothing, and shelter, human connection is important. And the fact that you even state that that is one of your core values, I think is really important, because in this crazy world, we are becoming so disconnected. And the fact that you still leverage and use technology, but you don't let that replace the personal touches, I think is huge. And I think more leaders can step up to that. And like you said, you have 500 people. So you're making the time, your people are making the time, but that's also because you went back to raise the standards and you made that a priority and a standard.
Well, and even as a business owner, I had to ask myself multiple times, what is it that I would have wanted if
Mhm.
I was one of the agents at a company? What is it I would want? And these are the I've designed the company based around that. And I think any business owner can do that. If I was an employee at this company, what are the things that I would want?
Mhm.
And design the company, design the culture around that. I would want connection. I'd want lunches once a month. I'd want whatever it is, but put together a plan of how to make people feel connected. Because like you said, there's so much disconnection in the world today. But community is such a huge need in people's lives.
I love that question of what would I want? And I think so many leaders, they think about that. And that's why many people get into leadership positions because they say, I want to be the leader that I never had. And then along the way we get disconnected from that. So I think that's actually a great question to reflect on, every year, and really looking into what is it that my people need? What would I want if I was in their shoes? And really coming to that, they call it servant leadership, and really thinking about it's not about me. It's not what I think I want. It's what do my people need from me as their leader. And I think that's really powerful. So let's go into some tactics here because you run a thriving business. Again, you are on a reality show, Selling Salt Lake. You have a personal life. You also sell real estate. I mean, you have all these different roles that we have. What are some of the things that you do to help you to stay purposeful and intentional in those roles? I mean, I get that days are still sometimes crazy and that's just life, but what are some of the tools that you have to help you be successful in wearing all those different hats?
Yeah, for me, I mean, this is why I have so much honor for women with children because I don't have my own personal children, so I don't know how women do it and run jobs and everything. I literally can't fathom how it works. But for me, I look at my agents as children, and so I try so hard to be there for them. But thank goodness, at 9 o'clock at night, my phone goes off, so I don't have to hear it. But there's women that are helping their children in the middle of the night, and it's not me doing that. And so I have a lot of reverence for that. But for me, I have in the last 10 years gotten heavily into fostering and adoption of dogs. So we had 25 dogs in one year that we would, foster and then have them adopted. And it was really grounding for me. I really love animals and I love their spirit and their happiness and all those things. And so for me, that's really grounding for me. But then outside of that, I also love the spa. I love travel. I have to do those things. And so maybe about 4 times a year, I take a small weekend trip. And then one time a year, I take a big trip.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I, disconnect from all the getting bogged down because it happens. And I know I have to do it and get a reset and then get back to work.
Yeah. So I want to go back to one of the things that you mentioned, which is that your phone goes off at 9 p.m. So tell me about that because that is something that I hear all the time. And you see it too. People are glued to their technology. They have this, if I don't answer, I'm going to lose the client. They get into the scarcity mindset that if they're not available 24/7, they're going to lose business. So talk to me a little bit about how this has impacted you and in a positive way and how what you've seen with your people on the ones that stay overly connected versus the one that have boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, for me, a 9 o'clock boundary isn't the end of the world. I have a lot of brokers that they say after 7 o'clock, I'm not going to answer my phone. But for me, as the principal broker, I definitely am, and the business owner, a little bit more available. But in the same regard, most of the time, anything that happens that late in the evening, nothing's going to change till the next morning. Like nobody puts contract deadlines at 10 o'clock at night. So it's one of those things that for me, I can set that boundary and I kind of have to. My sweet husband, he was raised a farmer, so he goes to bed very early and he wakes up extremely early. So if I was on my phone and taking phone calls after 9 o'clock, I'd be waking him up. So there's that kind of respect to keep my relationship intact and respect him and his schedule as well. But it's to me, I think it's important to set boundaries. There was a part of my career that I would be available to anyone and everyone and take everything. And I just became ragged, worn out, so exhausted, mentally, emotionally, physically, everything. And I just realized that the people that are willing to take advantage of you after hours and not respect you are really the ones that don't respect you in any area in your business. So they expect you to give them a discount or whatever it is, those types of things. And so for me, setting those boundaries just says I have enough self-respect, but I care about you. I'll be back to you in the morning.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Hey, ladies, success isn't one size fits all, and neither should your health care. If you're suffering from brain fog, overall exhaustion, and stubborn weight gain, it's not just stress, it's your body talking to you. And we need to start listening. At Telehealth for Her, you can get concierge level training and guidance to help you learn to care for your health at the highest possible level. Their customly designed framework is going to walk you through how you can manage your health and start showing up as the highest and best version of yourself. As professional women, we have to make sure we're showing up strong for all the demands that face us each and every day. So visit telehealthforher.com today and book your Synergy consultation so that you can gain control back and have expertly guided direction and care to help you take control back of your health and your performance. Reach out to them today. Are you a high achieving individual and just not getting the results that you want? Do you feel like you're showing up and putting in all the effort, but just not getting traction? Well, if you can say yes to any of those things, the Clarity Collective might be your answer. I'm Clara Capano, and the Clarity Collective is my personalized mastermind group that is designed to help high-performing professionals get to the next level and to do it in a way that is going to bring long-term sustainable success. You see, you can't attain success on your own. This collective is all designed to give you the quality training, guidance, education, and tools that you need to achieve your goals. In the collective, we provide live monthly masterclasses taught by experts in their chosen field. In the collective, it is all about growing and scaling your business with purpose and intention. In addition, you get access to an exclusive training portal. You get a live monthly hot seat session where you can come in and ask for help with whatever challenges you have, and the members of the collective are gonna work to help you. You also have the ability to network and collaborative with other high-performing, ambitious professionals just like you. So if you are looking to get out of the fog and to get real traction towards your goals, check out the Clarity Collective. When you visit, just enter code collective at checkout, and you can get access to all of this amazing training for less than $1 a day. I'm Clara Capano, and come and join me in the Clarity Collective. So I want to talk about being a woman in business and the concept of earning your seat at the table. One of the things that I see a lot, especially in the realm of real estate, but I see this a lot, is that there's a lot of women out there sort of in the field, but when it comes into leadership and management, it's still very much dominated by men. And when you arrive at a conference, a trade show, whatever it is that you go to, I would imagine that many times there you are one of the few women that are there. And how can we as women show up in a way to earn the respect of men, to show our confidence and our dominance without having it be like overly emotional and all those things, all those stereotypes that come with it?
I love that, but I also want to say that, yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes that come with it. For me, I'm definitely a woman. I have my feelings, my emotions, and in my business, it's my superpower because I feel everything that my agents are feeling, and I can understand them, and I can empathize with them and give them a sense of, you're okay, I'm with you, we're gonna do this together. But in the same regard, man, I still have to make big decisions, set KPIs, all the things that a leader and a CEO has to do in a business. And I have seen definitely that dichotomy of the male leader versus the woman leader, and yet I have a lot of men that very, very much support me and believe in me. But then you have those naysayers too, and that's okay. So I'm okay with it. And for me, it's just like, it's part of the job. So I've just taken it in with stride. Don't get me wrong. Believe me, sometimes it really ticks me off and I say a lot of swear words and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's like it comes with the territory. But it's not going to slow me down either. That's the thing. I think a lot of women sometimes take it too internally, and it's just kind of like, oh, well, I got somewhere to go, so I'm going to get there. And I just don't let it slow me down.
Fantastic. So another question I have is, piggybacking off of what you just said in that is the idea of balancing the logic and the emotion. You look at what you're doing. You have this amazing team that you are very connected with. You know them on a personal level, you care about them on a personal level. And at the same time, you have to run a business. And sometimes the emotions of the relationships and the KPIs that you need to do for the business clash. How do you, and what are some suggestions for other leaders to maybe navigate between the emotion and the logic?
For some women, not all women, it's a challenge, and I have to ask myself a lot of times when I go into meetings, like, what's the objective here? Because I could get very worked up emotionally about certain things that are happening or things that we're dealing with, and I have to stay very logical. What's the outcome I want from this, and how do we get there without having a lot of feelings and emotions about it? Because as a leader, you have to be really careful to stay very grounded, or other people are going to feel like it's chaos around here. And so, but believe me, I'm feeling it. I just have to know to how to hone that in, feel it at home with my husband, tell him how I really felt because he gets to hear it all.
Yep.
But in my meetings, I really genuinely have to be a leader. And it is not easy to always hold your feelings and emotions back, but there are times when it's appropriate, and then there's time that it's not.
I really appreciate what you said is, you have to have your people outside the circle. For you, it's your spouse, but you have to have those people because I think being that we are at work so much and we're with those people so often, it can be easy to share with them. And like you said, there are certain things that are appropriate and certain things that aren't. And as the leader, you have to be the grounding force. You have to let them know that you've got things under control, because part of leadership is clarifying a path to a future. And if you show uncertainty or confusion, it's going to have a ripple effect. So I think that's a very strong learning lesson is no matter how much you love your people inside your company, you've got to find a support system outside to go to, because you have to be able to have that division.
Yeah, and my quote is rarely let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
It's not never, it's rarely.
Definitely. So, you've been doing this, like you said, your company's now, been around for 14 years. I know you've been doing so much. What would you say is maybe looking back and reviewing from when you were a baby leader 14 years ago to where you are now? How have you grown? What are some ways that you've matured as a leader?
Well, there was a moment when I had about 60 agents, and I wasn't making great money as a company, and yet I loved what I was doing. And so there was this moment that I had to ask myself, should I close doors or should I scale? And it was one of those things that when I talked to a lot of them about it, they begged me not to grow, begged me, please don't grow, please don't grow. And I had to take that. And again, this is a leadership quality. Take in the information, but also you're the leader. You're the one at the helm of the ship. You have to make the decisions of how to steer that ship.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was like, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to stay this way, because I was taking some of my commissions to put it back in the company. And I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that do that. They're like, okay, I believe in this so much, I'm going to put all my money into it. And I was doing that. And so it was just like, I either shut doors, but if I shut doors, I hurt 65 people. If I scale, I may lose a few, and I may, start to be able to help other agents do the exact same thing. And my goal in the industry was to raise the bar. I know there are people out there who want to do that. And so for me, scaling was a massive fear that I had to get through. Like, what if I lose these people? What if I lose these people? And if I can give any advice out there, you're going to lose people as you grow. You will. And it's painful. Every time it's painful. Believe me. Every time, most of the time I shed tears. But for the most part, it's part of growth and it's part of success. And
Mhm.
so it was one of those moments that the first time I scaled, I learned lots of lessons. It was what the company needed most. And for those mothers that are out there, your baby, you think, I got to make decisions for the best thing for this child. That's the decision I had to make for my company as a mother. Okay, it may not be the best decision for everyone else in the room, but it's the best decision for the child. And so I had to learn a lot of lessons that way, of learning that you stand alone a lot as an entrepreneur. You have to make decisions alone a lot. And sometimes people look at you like, what are you thinking? And you have to be able to weed through that too. Well, that's why I'm the leader, because I look at things clearly and for the best decision for everybody as a whole. And so that was kind of one of my biggest things as I grew, is learning how to deal with loss, but also still making the best decision for the company.
Yeah. And I think that's really profound, the idea and the analogy that you made between parenting. And, sometimes we have to make these tough decisions for our children because it's the betterment of everything, even though it hurts in the moment. And what a great analogy, because our businesses are oftentimes our babies. And so we have to, and as a CEO, as a leader, you always have to think about what is best for the wealth and health of the organization, regardless of size. And so I think that was really powerful. And I think also going back to the vision, you have to really stay in alignment with the vision. And if the vision is to serve people, like you said, you might lose a few, but is it going to be better for the longer term vision? So I think that's great. And, Jennifer, this has been such an amazing conversation. I could talk to you forever. And I am so just grateful to be able to have you in my world. And I know you've got big things on the horizon. So as we get ready to close things up here, I would love to ask, what is next for you?
Well, as you mentioned, we just wrapped the Sold on SLC reality show on Bravo. And to be honest with you, one of my the thing my sentiment about it is literally this. It wasn't about being on a reality TV show. It was about building a business strong enough to demand the spotlight. And that's what I did. And I'm proud of that. Now, I'm not so proud of the Bravo show. I didn't have control over edits. I'm not extremely proud of doing that, but in the same regard, I don't think anybody would have turned down NBC knocking on your door saying we want to do a show about the business you built. So I was grateful that that happened to me. At this point, I'm moving on. I have written a book. Will be coming out soon. I am expanding my company into other states. We just got into Nevada and Idaho, and so my goal is to strategically grow, not just fast grow, but strategically grow in the right markets right now. So that's kind of on the horizon for me.
Very exciting. And when your book comes out, please be sure to let us know. We can have you back. We'll help you promote it. That's going to be very exciting. I love it. So, Jennifer, thank you again for being here. Thank you for being such a guiding light to so many, for being so real and so open, and always leading with your heart as well as your brilliant mind. One last question I have for you is, sitting where you sit today, learning everything that you've learned, how do you define success for yourself now?
To me, it is 100% about the impact you've made on other people. When you get somebody that sends you a message or comes to your office and tells you you really have changed my life, that to me is pure success.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. We're going to put all your information in the show notes so people can find you. And if they are looking for great realtors in these areas that you serve, I know they're going to be looking you up. So great talking with you, and just so much, love and light to you and your future success.
Thank you so much, Clara. Good to be with you.
Well, that was a fun interview. And, Jen shared so many things. Some of the things that really stood out is one towards the end, when she talked about the idea that the reality show was not so much about being on reality, it was about creating your mark so that your business demands the spotlight. And I just, there's something in that I think is so magical, of creating something so powerful that people want to be a part of it. People are seeking you out. That's how you know you're delivering impact and making a statement. As you are starting your career, you might want to pivot. Think about what it is that your people need. I love when she talked about, what is it that I would have wanted? Who would have I wanted as a leader when I needed a leader? And I think checking in with that on a frequent basis, because I think as leaders, we can get into this realm of thinking we know it all and thinking we have the answers, and we don't. We need to really take a step back and say, what do our people need from us? Our greatest asset when it comes to our business is our team. So let's start listening to our team and listening to what it is they need from us as leaders. And let's create a platform that's going to serve them and help them be great, because our company can only be great when our team is great. Love the idea of raising the bar. Raise your standards. Can't say it enough. Don't settle for okay. Settle for nothing. Go for it. Raise the standards. That's a great way of differentiating yourself. And again, letting your clients know that you deliver excellence in all you do. As women, we have so much power. We have so much we can give, and we have so much diversity in the way that we can deliver value. So make sure that you are going out there and delivering greatness in everything you do. I appreciate you following the show. Please make sure to share this with others that are starting their careers, or maybe even looking at making a pivot. Together, we always grow stronger. I'm Clara Capano, and this is Women Winning Their Way.